Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Five. I'm sorry for those of you listening that you didn't get to see this on video, but I just had the best entrance the entire world has ever seen. My name is Elon.
For those who are listening as opposed to watching, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all.
I sure am.
Wow.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Five. My name is Elon. I'm here joined as always by my cohort, Mr. Steve the Main Squeeze, Ace King Offsuit Jurek.
How's it going?
And my other cohort, the always lovely, talented, amazing DaPurpleSharpie. Sorry, this one.
Hey, that's me. I'm purple. But not really. It's just a tag inside of my name.
And as we learned, you're also sharp.
Yeah.
That was funny. Anyway, tonight on the show, we're going to talk about this stuff. Check this out. Boom!
Yeah.
Welcome to Best of Five, where I make graphics, and it took me a month to do that. We're going to talk about these things, and you get to follow along. But before we even do that, Steve?
Can you make the topics go away then, since we're not talking about them yet?
Well, fine. Hold on. Jeez. Always asking.
Do we have a fade out or?
Nope.
They just disappear.
Yes.
So that's sort of like dressing up and like doing your hair from the front, but letting it just go wild in the back.
Look, Steve, I don't know what else you want from me here. I spent a month doing that, right?
I don't know if that's really relatable, Steve. Who here has hair, honestly?
You know what? Anyway, there's a recap because things happened. Things happened.
Hit it, Steve.
Oh my goodness. Things happened. Street Fighter League absolutely happened this past weekend. Well, we saw it happen. It may have happened a while ago, but we saw it. It's new to me. That's the old NBC sitcom role. Pro US League had its final week of the regular season. Alpha 3 had nothing to play for, so it was an easy 3-0 win for Dynamite for them to lock up their spot. Then that came down to the final match between Nasser and Psycho Shinobi. Nasser Esports, the 3-1 win to take Psycho Shinobi out of the running. They lost 4 of their last 5 matches. They were in great position through the first half, but struggled down the backstretch. So we have our top 4, and that will air next week. You've got Alpha 3 and All In facing off for the third time. Nasser and Dynamite will be the losers semifinal. And then the winner of that will face the loser of the winners final. Then the top 2 teams will reach the finals. So we don't know exactly what the finals looks like because of the cancellation of Capcom Cup and the reorganization of that event online due to the global pandemic. But that's something we got look forward to this coming week.
So, do you think when they broadcast this next week, they're going to be like, oh, we have our Final Four for the Puerto Rican final because this is pre-recorded? I mean, it's live.
Do you remember that Simpsons episode, the Super Bowl? Well, they've had a few Super Bowl episodes at this point, but there was one where every time they mentioned which team was going to play, they moved a card in front of their mouth, and they just badly overdub it. I am excited to watch the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's funny. Maybe that's what's going to happen.
I fully expect something like that.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see Vicious. And everybody's going to be very excited to go to undisclosed location.
In beautiful online.
Redacted. That'll be funny. I can't wait to see that stuff pan out. But there was more, Steve. There was more leagues of the Street Fighters.
There was. On the other side of the planet, we finally saw the conclusion of the Japanese Street Fighter League. If you remember, this actually took place 1 week prior, and it was on pay-per-view. and then this week is when it aired for free on Capcom Fighters and the other associated channels. And if you did watch, you got to see Nemo's team take home the big prize. They fought through the semifinal and the final, knocking off Daigo's Gold Team and Tokido's Flame Squad to take home the prize of about $15,000, but 1.5 million yen. Tokido, his Flame Squad finishes second. They take home 500,000 yen, just under $5,000. Daigo finishing third with his squad. They're taking home about $3,800 or 400,000 yen.
I heard these matches were crazy. I didn't get a chance to watch them, but I feel like I should be watching them right after this.
They are available on YouTube and Twitch as well. So
immediately after this show. They're not available yet.
Yeah, they're not available right now, but if you watch it after the show, they will be available.
Yes.
So thank you for picking up on that.
Yes.
Because I don't want to. I don't want people to think, "Oh my goodness, it's on right now."
Oh, it's
I need
not.
To go watch.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's
Yeah.
It's not.
totally
It's
not.
important.
So there's some new stuff on the recap that has never been in the recap before, Steve.
We had a special event take place this past week. It was PlayStation's FGC Arcade. This was some of the games that they have featured in PlayStation tournaments. They took some of the top players from each scene. They brought in commentators from each scene, and they had themselves a fun little night of exhibitions. This one is archived, so it will be available on YouTube immediately following our show. Not now.
Yep.
Don't do that. But there were some good matches. I've only got to see bits and pieces so far, but I know Kiev and Dexys came down last round. I actually watched the last set of Nephros and Mosin. There was some ridiculous stuff going on there. But yeah, you had some good BB tag action. Sonic Fox and Foxy Grandpa holding it down in MK11 Ultimate. Kiev and Party Wolf getting the job done in Soul Calibur. And in Uniclear, Gosuda gave it I don't remember how he got 2 matches in. I think he was a last-minute replacement, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, rough night for him. He lost twice to Big Black and Red Blade. So,
Dang.
But he threw it down. Especially that second set, against Red Blade, he showed a little more of what he can do.
So the lesson learned: if somebody cancels and you're like, "I'll do it," do it.
Yeah. What do you have to lose? Not a tournament,
Just an exhibition.
right?
Exhibitions don't
Right.
matter.
Exactly.
Unless you win.
You win.
Then it counts. Then it absolutely counts.
All right. Do we have anything else on the recap?
We have things that we can look out for next week, or
pull
this
out the
coming
crystal
week,
ball.
I should say. So let's take a look what's coming up. As I mentioned, the playoffs for the Street Fighter League U.S. side take place on Thursday, or at least air Thursday. This weekend, it is a couple more events in the Tekken 7 King of the Hill series. You've got Equinox Gaming for the U.S. side of things, and then Rage Heart Clutch, which is going to be aired by First Attack PR. That is part of something that we'll be talking about a little later. Also this Sunday, you've got Liga Latina, the Mortal Kombat 11 Pro League, 4th round of action in Mexico, Latin America, and South America.
Wow. Still a lot going on, even though there's not a major this time around. Crazy. All right. Well, thanks for the recap, Steve. Always a good old time when things are getting recapped and pre-capped, if you will, with your crystal ball there. Now it's time. I'm going to hit the thing.
Woohoo!
All right. Let's go from the top. Do the thing. There we go. First, let's talk about this dumb Iori trailer that these jerks released on Wednesday, immediately after our show. Those jerks. Let's just watch the thing, shall we? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Show the trailer. That looks like it hurts.
Shatter all expectations.
So here is, first of all, I think everyone's surprised to see Iori in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely shocked. I don't think anyone thought that we would ever see Iori in a King of Fighters game ever again. So that's a bit of a surprise. Everyone, wow, okay, I deserve to be out of focus after that.
I don't. His redesign looks cool, right? He looks a little less edgy than he did before, right? He doesn't look like his hair looks a little bit like more modern, I guess is the word. I don't know.
Can we have the B-roll playing one more time?
Okay, we can show it off one more time. Wait for it.
Mute that stuff, though.
I did. Relax. I know what I'm doing. Go B-roll. Fast forward. There it is.
Yeah.
So he looks very different than he usually does. However, whoever they hired from the Dragon Ball Fighters trailer team, I don't like these trailer formats. There's like nothing to see. Like they spend time here. Let's rewind a little bit. Like they spend time showing like his buttons, which is okay, right? But it goes so fast you can't see what happens. Look at this. Wait for it. Button. Oh, it's gone. Button. Oh, it's gone. Ah, button. Oh, button. Forward throw. Backward throw. Stun, I guess. You know? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the format of the trailer. They are getting better, right? Like they're showing more of the important things of a character instead of just random poop.
What?
You're killing me, man.
Yes?
Okay.
You're specifically trying to make my editing job harder, and I blame you.
I'm sorry.
Specifically, a lot.
I'm sorry. It's not my fault that the FCC says that word is not a curse word.
The FCC doesn't apply. We had this discussion before.
I know.
Anyway, make your point.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, trailers are getting better, but I'm still not a big fan. I wish they would show a little bit more. If anything, like just to, show a little. Like I wish they would show a little bit more of the character and what it can do instead, or what they can do instead of just showing random buttons here and there, showing the super, right? Like everybody knows that that's going to be in there, but I want to see some of the other stuff.
Don't they also have like the character breakdown days as well? Like,
do they?
I don't know because I don't play KOF, but like I know
Not
other
yet.
games. Okay.
Not yet. We've only seen these little bite-sized trailers thus far. For me, I got to keep in mind that these trailers aren't necessarily for a narrow audience that specifically cares what Iori does. I say that in a weird way, but hear me out on this.
Listening.
This is about selling the game to a wide audience right now. You don't necessarily need to sell. It's not like a DLC where your audience is composed completely of people who have already bought the game, and you need to give them a compelling reason why they need this specific character. Right now, they're not selling a character. It's not about selling Iori. It's about selling, hey, Iori is in this game. So now, it's just about giving people enough to entice them to check out this game. And that doesn't necessarily mean showing off what the forward throw and the back throw do. That doesn't necessarily mean showing off every single move in the arsenal just yet. It's just about giving people enough of a taste to say, hey, that game looks cool, let me check it out. As we get closer, we'll probably see a few more things like some high-level matches like we saw in Guilty Gear this past week. But I don't necessarily think that these trailers are specifically aimed at us, hardcore fighting game players, as much as they are a wider potential audience. Plus, I mean, you got to worry about character or roster size at this point. Because if you're doing one character a week, I mean, if you start with a roster of 40, 50 characters, you're looking at the end of 2021 when this game comes out. If you continue at this pace.
Yeah, somebody had mentioned that they're probably going to do like 50, right? Because KOF rosters usually are pretty big. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's one of those things where I see where you're coming from, Steve. But at the same time, I don't care because I'm me. And I want to see things that I want to see. I'm kidding, obviously. I mean, I'm not kidding, but I'm kidding.
To be fair, I thought the trailer was really cool. I probably still won't play KOF. That character does look really amazing. KOF just isn't my type of game. But like if I hadn't already decided to not play KOF, that could very easily have been a deciding factor for me. Because, you know, the character does just look cool. Like straight up. Cool looking character.
Yeah. No, all the characters
Red hair,
are cool.
Edgy, you know?
With the hair.
I think Big for Lil is making a good point in chat. They're saying, hey, weekly trailers fatigue the audience unless you're showing something new every week. You know, like, okay, Iori is not a surprise. I mean, Benimaru is not a big surprise. If we see someone like Vice or someone along those lines, that's not going to be a surprise. It's going to be, oh, hey, yeah, that's cool that we expected that. Sort of like a new Street Fighter game coming out and saying, hey, here's Guile. Hey, here's Ken. Okay, we kind of expected that. What else you got? We'll see you next week. Okay.
Who's the guy that has like the giant eyes and like the purple beard? I think it's Lionheart. Is that his name? I don't know. He's super goofy. I like that guy. I want him to come back. Know what I'm talking about? Or do I just sound crazy?
You sound insane to me.
Yeah,
personally.
I usually do. I apologize.
Yeah.
Xanadu, thank you. I don't know why I thought Lionheart. Xanadu, that guy. I like that guy. He has this move where he does the thing with his arms where he goes, I can't do it because I'm surrounded by things. And it's fun. It's hilarious. I like that guy. And his eyes are way too big for his head.
We're all surrounded by things.
Yeah, but I can't do the move like I wanted to, so I have to do it this way. Or else I'm going to punch the microphone, or I'm going to punch the air.
It's a great show.
This is a wonderful show. All right. Anything else we want to touch on KOF?
Who do we think is going to be the next one revealed? Because
they're probably going to do.
If you remember, oh, go ahead.
While you're pulling that up, Steve, I think they're just going to do Mai.
Really?
Yeah. We all know it's coming.
I guess with the Smash audience, they may. Just because, you know, she was the one KOF character, they're like, yeah, she's not really going to be in this game. You know? Right. Specifically. And so now everyone may be like, KOF. The character that was banned from Smash, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Blue makes a good point. They are going in team order, and they already have Team Hero. So who's on Iori's team?
In KOF 14, it was Mature and Vice.
Okay, well, there you go. That's who's next. Or it's going to be a new team.
But remember, Shune and Mainten-kun were on Team China, and they're joined by Benimaru, who was on Japan team last time. So it's not a guarantee that it's going to be the same three.
Yeah, who's the Ryu of King of Fighters? What's his name? I can't remember it for some reason.
Terry? Or
no,
you
not
mean
Terry.
playstyle wise?
Kyo, thank you.
Kyo.
Have they shown his trailer yet?
No. It's just the 4.
I think he's probably next then. Yeah, because that makes sense, right? They showed like the one, like Yori's usually the Ken of the series, and Kyo is usually the Ryu, so it just makes sense to me. I don't know. That's my guess.
I'm gonna go with Mature.
Okay. Sharpie, who you want to be next?
Oh, I thought I already said Mai.
Oh, you said Mai. Yes. Okay.
I did, right?
Maybe.
I
don't know.
Unless I'm having like a fever dream.
Look, my brain no longer functions, so I apologize.
That's fair.
Cool. So that's KOF. Let's move on to the next topic, shall we? Watch this.
Do it.
That took me another month. Yeah, that took me another month to do. So, let's talk about this Street Fighter V Winter update that's happening this Thursday. Those jerks. The future is now, Finitude says. Yes. So there's been a lot of things circulating on top of the things that Capcom posted. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to do a sleuth, or I would. But High Fight, friend of the show, tweeted out something that I think I agree with. It's the Japanese Capcom Twitter account tweeted, it's going to be on the 12th in Japan, but it's on the 11th, and then they put the eyes next to 11th. And the Capcom USA Twitter said it's going to be on the 11th, and then they put the eyes next to the 11th. Is that a hint that 11's coming to Street Fighter V? Is 11 the last character? Right? Because 12's in Third Strike.
That feels like a stretch to me, personally.
I don't know. Capcom didn't have a Capcom Cup Finals to throw out 11 confettis.
I think that, if they're hinting at that, that would be too on the nose.
I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of a troll. Just a touch of a troll.
I don't know. You know who else can stretch? 12. That's awesome. Who said that in the chat? Muckmaster, thank you. Thank you, Muckmaster, in the chat.
That was good. That was good.
But so, all joking aside, Capcom did reveal that that Rose is going to make an appearance. They're also going to talk a lot about Dan. They even had the English voice actor for Dan talk about things that are, or like talk about the fact that it's happening. And they had this whole voiceover thing that was a little bit bizarre, if I'm going to be honest. But if you like Dan, I guess you enjoyed listening to the voice actor go Yahoo in a very weird way. So I guess so. I'm assuming what's going to happen is they're probably going to show off more of Dan, or they're going to talk about Dan. They're probably going to show off a little bit of Rose. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get a little bit of the Oro. And then they're going to show off 11. What do you guys think is going to happen? They're hyping this up a little bit more than I thought they would. That's the thing.
I think it's just kind of slow right now in general for them. I think they're just using any press and buzz they can generate right now, because we don't really have like any huge way to announce things other than social media. Honestly, that's what I think personally. But I'm also, y'all know me, I'm super incredibly, I want to say pessimistic when it comes to things like this. Marketing ploys, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How about you, Steve?
I'm thinking that there's a possibility that they might be dropping both characters at the same time. Because if you remember the roadmap they released last year, Dan was scheduled for winter of 2020, Rose for spring of 2021. Now, personally, I don't necessarily think they will, because a lot of the delay is due to what's been going on with COVID and the impact that has had on the development cycle. So to push Dan back a bit makes sense, but to push Dan back and move Rose up a little bit, maybe not so much. I'm not saying it's outside the realm of possibility. I just don't think it's necessarily going to happen. But it would not be the greatest shock in the world if it did.
Spring is next month. Is March spring? I thought it was April.
I personally go through March. I count it March through May. But then again, I live in a state where Valentine's night is going to be 17 degrees below zero. So I have no idea how seasons work anymore.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Texas is getting snow next week.
Is it really?
Okay, you know what?
God.
You can get snow and not be 17 degrees below zero.
Look, Steve, I'm going to make you feel better because right now it is currently 56. So we're having it tough over here too, okay? I'm kidding. It feels great. But anyway, let's go back to talking about Capcom.
No. 17 degrees below zero. You know what that means?
Steve, I used to live in Pennsylvania. I know.
That means that they created a temperature scale, and they figured out what the bottom of the scale is. And it wasn't something like tied to water freezing or something like that. They just picked an arbitrary point and said, no, this is the bottom of the scale. And we're about to go like almost 20 degrees below that bottom. That makes no sense.
Oh, yeah? Well, Texas is going to be minus 9 degrees Celsius next week.
You know what? Hold on. I'm going
It's the same thing you're saying. It's the same thing you're saying.
I am going to throw things at you. I am going to buy a ticket to your city just to throw this rubberized cap at you.
As long as you do it from 6 feet away, because we got to maintain social distancing.
I will.
Or you're wearing a mask.
Well, we need to do both, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll have my vaccine by then. Then maybe you can throw it at my face. I don't know.
Feel free.
I have great accuracy. I
believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
I could have made it to the majors. But anyway, Street Fighter. We're allegedly a fighting game show. When we're not
Weren't
talking
you in
about
the
how
Matrix?
it will be 17 below zero. What? Sorry. Done with weather stuff.
It'd be 9 below 0 here. Celsius.
That's not the same.
No?
That's not the same. No.
It's still below 0, though.
It's
Anywho, so everybody...
We're best of 5 and we talk about fighting games. Yeah!
We're going to be in best of -5 soon.
Okay, that one got me. That one got me.
I'll give myself a round of applause for that one. Anyway, so everybody's got their take on what's going to happen on Thursday. You know, some people are going to say they're going to drop it now. Some people say they're going to announce Rose. Some people say they're going to announce 11. Maybe 12. 11, probably. Maybe Oro's going to show up. I don't know. They talked about the turtle a lot. Let's see the turtle. You know what I'm saying? But I'm curious about what they're going to... I'm hoping that they at least talk about what this new mechanic is that they keep talking about. Right? They're always like, oh, we're going to have a new mechanic. Wait for it. Nobody knows what mechanic
and
is.
that and the rebalance is part of what was going to be the first release with Dan.
Yep.
So I would fully expect to hear, not just hear about it, but see it in action and find out. Oh, it's gonna hit the game tomorrow or something like that.
It'd be great if they did that, but wouldn't it be
Really cool,
difficult to
yeah.
do that when they have the Capcom season finals soon?
Or they could say, hey, it's gonna hit as soon as Street Fighter V season finale ends, something like that.
Wait, somebody brought up that they're gonna put a burst in. If they put a burst in Street Fighter V, that game's over.
They would never put a burst inside of
That
Street
game-
Fighter
that game
5. It
ends
would
right there.
Actively change the entire game. They would never do that. Who typed that in chat? We should time them out for posting ridiculousness.
Here's the thing: that's not the first I've heard of that. But look at it this way: so many characters.
It's like the anti-vaxxers of the FGC. They're gonna put a burst of Street Fighter. No, they're not. No, why would they do that?
Look, if they put a burst in, like, imagine all the characters who win by getting in, and that's it. Right? They get in once, and the game's over. If they don't get in, they lose. Imagine those characters, and then they get in once and get burst.
Wait a second. Actually, now I'm for this burst because I just think in general grapplers shouldn't be allowed to exist, and I think they're allowed to roam free inside of Street Fighter a little bit more than other games. So actually, never mind. I'm team burst.
Well,
Yeah.
look, if bursts are gonna go the Gear to Gear way, then every grappler is going to just grab bursts.
No,
And then it's gonna be
but
awful.
maybe they'll go the Skullgirls way, where it pushes them so far off that they're back inside of neutral, and then they play the zoning game again.
I don't know. I don't trust it. Either
I
way,
do.
I think burst is a dumb idea in Street Fighter V. That game is just not built for it.
It is a dumb idea, which is why I want to see now that you're talking about it. Now I want to see like an Omega mode, Street Fighter V
Right?
Omega, and put the burst in that.
Oh, I would play that. I would play that game. I would play that game
let's-
nonstop, bro.
It's just Give everybody silly stuff. Let's do it.
I'm getting
I don't
nauseous
care.
just thinking
Just
about
make
it.
out.
I want it. I want that in the game now.
As I will say this, I think that would be a lot more exciting than just Super 2, right?
Or 12.
Or 12. So I'm hoping that at least it's like a cool mechanic and not just something we all saw coming. Who knows? We'll have to see when they explain things on Thursday instead of doing it before our show. Those jerks. All right. Do we have any other things we want to talk about as far as the Street Fighter update is concerned?
Do we
Grapplers
have
are bad.
any?
Don't play grapplers.
Do we have any legitimate predictions for what that new mechanic's going to be?
Probably Super 2. I'm sad about it, but probably Super 2.
I want it to be something different. I want it to be another meter.
Like,
don't.
What would the meter be? Ultra?
No. God, no. I want something that's sort of like Grid in Uni. Something where you get it just for sort of dictating the pace of the match. I think that would be game changing enough where it could legitimately change some things, but I don't think it would necessarily be so game changing that it would make it a completely dumb and stupid game.
Interesting. So it would be something like the like in Guilty Gear, how if you walk forward you get meter. Although that would suck for certain character archetypes in Street Fighter V.
Yeah. I think it would be very hard to get that balance right out of the gate. But it would be interesting. It would be more interesting to me than a double super, but I think the double super is going to be a lot more manageable and a lot more realistic.
Yeah, and it's already in the code. Remember when everybody was mining Street Fighter? So that's a thing that's possibly going to happen. Sharpie, what do you think?
I think that Street Fighter is one of those games that I probably won't really be surprised regardless of what they announce. I think every single update thus far has really... I don't think the new mechanic's going to be super duper ridiculously changing is what I'm trying to say here. I would also love to see a burst super because that would actually make me, an anime player, want to play Street Fighter, but I probably won't see it. It'll probably be something like, here are these new changes to Crush Counter, here's Super 2, you know what I mean? Like, I just... It's hard for me because it's like, it's so... It feels so samey all the time, you know?
I know where you're... Oh! What if this new mechanic they're talking about, instead of being a gameplay mechanic, was a netcode mechanic?
Oh my god.
Would people be...
They need some mechanics on that. They need a whole lot of mechanics, technicians.
They need a whole auto shop in there.
They need to take it in, look under the hood.
Actually, doesn't...
It'd be nice. It'd be nice if the changes that they made were actually to the netcode and, like, were essentially, like, or a new game mode that exclusively happened online that would force people to play online more and reward people for playing online. That'd be cool. But I don't see that happening because it's Street Fighter.
In a vacuum, I don't think it makes sense to work on netcode for a 4-year-old game because you've already sold so many copies of the game, and you're not going to gain a whole lot of return on investment. You're not going to bring in a ton of new players who are like, if you've been waiting for Street Fighter netcode to jump in, I don't think there's a large number of you out there. You either like the game or you don't.
I want to raise a counterpoint to that.
Go ahead.
The game we're going to talk about next, Tekken, once they improved their netcode, they saw a player base increase by like 2 or 3-fold on Steam. Remember when that happened? When they were like, we fixed the netcode, and it was actually good, even though everybody was like, Harada doesn't know what you're talking about with rollback. And then they put it in, and it's amazing.
Well, three times versus its peak, or 3 times versus what it was right before the release.
What it was right before the
Because
release, I believe.
which is not 3 times what it was at its peak.
No, and that's not what I was
So
saying.
so it's not necessarily new players coming in. It's some old players returning, saying, "Hey, this is a less frustrating experience now."
Now,
I think Steve really does have a point here, because especially with the Capcom leak, I'm not saying that Capcom's hemorrhaging money right now. What I'm saying is I'm sure a lot of their investors are really already on the fence regarding certain monetary changes. I can't see them investing in an old game, especially when we already know Street Fighter 6 is coming out. You know what I mean?
But-
Like, why would they implement that much more time into changing something that is that old?
That is actually part of the reason why I think they might. Simply because I think if they find a way to improve netcode for Street Fighter V and it works great, they can just copy paste that work over to Street Fighter 6, more or less, and say, hey, you know this netcode that was really good at the end of Street Fighter V, it's going to be in Street Fighter 6.
let me raise another example too. Maybe Tekken 7 was a bad example. Plus R, they added netcode, or they added rollback to that thing, and it blew up.
Yeah.
But
How many of those players, though, were players who had never played Plus R before?
I don't know. I never played Plus R before, and I bought it. So therefore, everybody else did.
Yeah, we're not talking about how many. Street Fighter V has sold a few million copies.
Sure.
There's a difference in the number of copies you will sell Street Fighter versus something like Plus R. So I don't. The calculus is completely different in terms of.
Central 5 was another good experiment. Yes. Sorry. Go on. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. Improving your game is never bad. Granted, limited resources, blah, 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 all that stuff. So if they get their netcode stuff together, see, almost said it. If they get their netcode stuff together, then it's more likely that people will play Street Fighter V, which means more popularity for the game, more people playing, more people streaming, more people enjoying online, which means it builds momentum for Street Fighter 6, right? So I think it's kind of similar to what happened with Plus R, which is why I brought Plus R up. Plus R came out with this netcode.
Plus R came out with the netcode specifically because the person who came out with the game previously worked on GGPO netcode inside of Skullgirls, and that person probably won't be doing it for any other games. In addition, Street Fighter 6 will be on a brand new console, which will use a new type of coding that most people haven't used.
Right, but here's the other thing.
I'm not saying the netcode's not... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but here's the thing, too. Don't you think that translated to, like, the Plus R thing translated to Strive, especially when they announced Strive was having rollback netcode?
No, I don't think that was necessarily a direct comparison. I think it was because the netcode discussion had been in the universe already, but I don't think they put it in Strive because, see how well it works in Plus R? It's a completely different scenario. It's completely different programming.
Right. I'm not saying I'm
building that.
So I'm not saying. Sorry. Let me be clear about what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that they put netcode in Strive or they put rollback in Strive because of Plus R. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the success that the rollback netcode had in Plus R, and we saw the biggest Plus R tournament last week or 2 weeks ago. Last week.
Yeah.
Don't you think that momentum that Plus R is building right now isn't going to translate to Strive? Like, there's a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have played Plus R without the netcode, myself being an example. And I'm pretty sure there's more people like me who saw that it was getting rollback netcode and said, hey, I might as well try this out. Don't you think that once the people who are hooked on it now are going to start looking towards Strive?
But the momentum had already been building, is what I'm saying, because we had been locked in our places for almost most of the past year. We're playing a lot more online than we used to, and more specifically for games with like a Tekken, like a Street Fighter V, where the netcode experience is not super great, we're less willing to forgive it because, oh, I'm playing online to get my fill in until the next time I go to locals or the next time I go to a major or whatever. Anything offline. Since that's not there anymore, or at least for the time being, all we have is online. I don't think... I think there was going to be pressure on ArcSys to have rollback in Strive. And I think they would have gone to that regardless of what happened with Plus R. Plus R it's a great story, and I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but the potential audience for Plus R compared to a flashy new game like Strive, it's like this versus this.
Well, yeah. But it doesn't hurt?
Doesn't hurt, but I don't think it's a big impact either way.
I don't know. I think maybe we'll just have to agree to disagree. And granted, the audience that I'm thinking of is not the audience that you're thinking of, because you're thinking big picture. I'm thinking the FGC, which is definitely the smaller picture here.
It's very relatable, Elon, because we all are, competitive players, and we all want to believe that it'll force us to become even larger, but like in the reality's grand scheme of things, like it's negligible, and that's the unfortunate side of it.
Yeah.
You have to sell to the FGC, but if you're, your Strives, your Mortal Kombat, your Street Fighters, you can't just sell to the FGC. You have to. That's why you're bringing in like Steve Aoki. That's why you're bringing in Kenny Omega to be brand ambassadors. By the way, Steve Aoki is going to be part of the winter update.
That's right.
Thing on Thursday.
That's actually really cool.
That is what we were talking about, the Street Fighter V winter update. And they have like musicians and stuff coming in. Like it's gonna be interesting. However, I do want to let's just skip a topic for now because we have the power to do that. Let's just go into Strive because we're talking about it already. Might as well just dive into it. So one of the selling points of Strive is the new netcode, right? Like when we saw the release trailer, they put it in the release trailer. It's like, oh, groundbreaking new low latency internet. Ah, and then they showed Soul doing some crazy shenanigans, right? That's even like one of the big highlights for the Guilty Gear Strive beta. That's this weekend.
It's actually next week where the beta starts. It starts on... There's 2 start dates. Next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. It starts for those who have pre-ordered through the PlayStation Store. Then it becomes an open beta 24 hours later. So on Thursday the 18th at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, it will be available for download for everybody. And that will be playable until the 21st at which is Sunday. So
well, F me in the A. I'm a week ahead. There you go. How's that for censoring?
Why?
Why? Sorry, I was a week off. I apologize.
First of all,
too excited.
First of all, Alon, no thank you. Appreciate the offer, but I'm good.
I'm good too. Thanks. Sorry, I'm too excited. I was a week ahead. Excuse my excitement. All right, Blue, resubscribing just to tell me next weekend. All right, I get it. Everybody clap for Blue, whatever.
Anime FGC News on Twitter. Give them a follow.
And sorry, yeah, I guess I'm reading it over now just to make sure I have my facts straight here. Okay, cool. But let's go back to talking about it. They have a whole section of the beta outline dedicated to online matches. And it specifically says, this beta test uses rollback netcode for online match connections. And the crowd goes wild. You can enjoy online matches with responsiveness comparable to offline matches. That's a scary, scary, scary bullet point there.
That's big talk.
Yeah,
I mean,
them's fighting words.
Especially because this is the sort of stuff that is specifically aimed at, serious hardcore fighting game players, competitive fighting game players, they're the ones who are going to most notice a difference. If you have a 2-frame difference between online and offline, some people just aren't going to care. If you're talking about if you want to see how nice your Nagoriyuki is, you're definitely going to notice that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. It's like the netcode for Tekken was pretty amazing, right? When it came out, everybody was super surprised. We all had egg on our face because everybody was like, "Oh, Harada doesn't know what he's talking about." Rollback,
Yeah,
blah
we
blah blah.
literally all talk shit, yeah.
And then we got hit with really good netcode. And since ArcSys has worked with Bandai Namco in the past, is it possible that they were licensed out that kind of netcode? Because saying something like comparable to offline matches is a very strong claim. And
It's a strong claim, but how are you going to prove it wrong? What's the line of comparable?
we won't know until we get for 7 years from now when the pandemic is over.
It strikes me more as flavor text than something specific. It is a pretty big target to paint on yourself.
Well, here's the
it's
thing.
Not one.
Here's the thing too. It's those are the same words used by people who were testing the Tekken connection, right? Like I'm talking about Markman, Anakin, and a couple of other top players saying it felt comparable to offline, as far as like being in the same region and all that other fun stuff. So I don't know. They also, I think the hilarious part of this is they also showed a picture of like the details, like and them explaining like what the rollback frame delay is, or not really delay, what the rollback frames are, and what the ping is. And the picture they have is of somebody playing with 223 milliseconds of ping and 6 rollback frames, and that's terrifying. That's not going to be comparable to offline whatsoever. So I just thought it was hilarious.
It should be noted that they do say that you will not be able, in the beta, you will not be able to filter matchmaking by either connection strength or connection type. So, like, you can't, like, there's not going to be like a Wi-Fi indicator. So,
right.
Because they're trying to test the connection. So they want to test all types of connections. They want to test the good stuff. They want to test the bad stuff.
Yep. And boy, do they have a bad one as a as an example on the page. But yeah, so not this weekend like I thought. Excuse me, next weekend. We'll get to play some Strive, and they have 13 characters available. They don't have Anji, unfortunately. They don't have the last character that's still unannounced. Which, by the way, they still haven't announced that character, huh? Crazy.
No,
I didn't even think about that.
We're coming up on Valentine's Day.
Is that when they're gonna? They said they were gonna reveal it.
Well, they said it was going to be sometime this month. And that seems to be the way they're leaning right now. There a lot of context clues.
Steve, don't put that out into the world, man.
You know what? I'm not the one that's putting it out there.
It
already exists.
Don't.
It already exists in the universe.
Don't even say her name.
The messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
Don't.
Because I know you will want to shoot. Because you know this character might be all about shooting.
Shush. Don't do it.
I know you're not married to.
Don't do it. Stop it.
I just promise
Stop.
it will be as sweet as strawberries.
Ugh, you had to say the strawberry line.
Sharpie is just having none of this.
I'm so excited to be back on the podcast, but my energy levels are right here, right now.
It's okay. Steve just brought my energy levels to over here with all this shenanigans. I put my hand close to my floor. That's what happened off camera there. And for the people that didn't get to see it on the audio version of this podcast. Also, people on the audio version of the podcast, why don't you give yourself some round of applause, huh?
We're clapping so you can hear us audio version.
Yeah, that's for you.
You know who else should get a round of applause?
Ooh.
The person who edits both the video and the audio version of the podcast.
Oh yeah, let's give that random unnamed person a round
I'm so
of
happy
applause.
we hired someone to do that. Thanks.
That's how much are we paying them?
Not enough.
Not discussed. Not, you know.
I agree.
Not important, Steve.
I agree
On a
with
need-to-know
that.
basis.
Inside jokes. All right. Anyway, so that's Guilty Gear Strive. Also, along with the Guilty Gear, along with the Strive beta test, we also got a big old thing of stuff this week. Where is it? There it is. Let's go look at some of this shenanigans, shall we? Zip, look at this. Hit play. Oh, there's no audio. Okay, the audio is really loud. I apologize. Anyway, so we got a couple of cool matches showing off some of the newer some of the characters that we haven't gotten to see in a while. So there's Axel, and there we go. So I have a whole notebook full of stuff about this thing, and let's talk about what's happening right here. First of all, Axel just froze time. Right? Well, let's go back to it a little bit. This guy pops a super called One Vision. Now he's glowing purple. Right? And he's over here jumping around. He gets an anti-air and then stops time. And then gets another DP over there. And then gets another DP over there. And then gets another DP over here. So, what in the world? And unfortunately we don't have a lot of the footage here, so we can't show too much of it. But I'll save that for a little bit. Hold on, stop it. All right. In the other matches that ArcSys has released earlier today, we can see this guy do that outside of hit stun or block stun. He can just do it. So if you whiff a button, he can just activate it, and then you're eating a full combo. You're getting whiff punished through time and space. That seems a little too crazy, even for me. Y'all seeing this?
I hope it is balanced, because if you'll remember, the first days of, I forget if it was Injustice 1 or Injustice 2, where
Deadshot?
Superman was... No, not Deadshot, Superman. Where he had the super that was so good and was so quick that if you had any sort of... You were scared to do anything. Because if you whiffed a button from anywhere, you're eating the full super. I think it was Injustice 1. Pretty sure it was.
Sounds about right.
But that makes for very, very dangerous, very unenjoyable experience, both to play and to watch. So hopefully it's not quite that wild, because that would be pretty wild.
Could you just imagine you're walking forward and this guy just mashes it out and gets you? You can't block because you're stopped in time. I would jump out of a window that's into my bushes over here. That's right on the side of it.
I mean, yeah, I did play Dragon Ball FighterZ, so I know exactly what you mean.
They do that in Dragon Ball FighterZ?
It does.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah. That game season 1 was not entirely balanced.
No, I enjoyed playing Captain Ginyu because anytime I would body switch with someone, they would quit the game. It was great.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's look at more Guilty Gear stuff. Yay! And then there was this thing. Check out this Nagoriyuki punish. Bam, half health gone. So that's cool. So Nagoriyuki's one of those characters that doesn't move, but he hurts.
See, that was a very basic punish right there. 2 hits, and he's 3 hits, and he's basically down to 50%. I wonder how much of that is just simply the gut system.
It is.
Where those first hits just take off basically half your health, and those last hits are basically paper cuts.
Yeah. No, it is, because he just got hit there, and it wasn't quite as big. However, there's this thing now. Kai gets a dragon install, which...
Oh, my God.
Which is, everybody's freaking out about it, right? So hold on, let me pause here. Where's the pause button? Let's pause it. All right, so I have a buddy who's super into Guilty Gear lore, right? I don't necessarily follow Guilty Gear lore. However, I saw that and I was like, wait, that doesn't seem right. Soul bad guy is the one that generally has had the dragon install, and they have all the lore behind it. Whatever. They apparently teased that Kai had dragon powers or whatever it's called, gear, something, in Exerd, and now they're showing the dragon install that Kai has, which is crazy. Like, everybody's losing their minds about it because he never had it before. It was always a Soul thing. Soul was like the Guilty Gear or whatever. He's like the master guy or something, and now all of a sudden, like, his little brother over here gets it. People are freaking out. All the lore is out the window with this new reboot.
You don't know. You haven't played story mode yet.
I have not, but I consulted somebody who did. And I trust that person's opinions. But at the same time, it's like, oh, wow. That's definitely something very new for that character. So I can't wait to see what people are going to do with it, because it seems to add more hits to it. It does exactly what it did for Soul. It adds more hits to special moves. It gives them like different properties and specific special moves. His supers are more powerful. It gets more hits, more things, more stuff. You know? What's bad about that? Nothing. Or is it? Nah. The last thing I wanted to point out is they had an Eddie showcase, and the entire time whoever Zato was fighting was just jumping out of mix-ups, and it looked so sad, and it looks so bad, and I don't know what to think about that, because while they showed some cool stuff that Eddie can do, it just looks a little rough. Because like he'll be doing a block string, and he'll have Eddie come out and do a special move, and that don't even combo. I'm sorry for saying a curse word there, but like it don't even combo. So what's the point?
Does it create like a good Oki situation?
No, you can get trapped out of it. It's weird. I hope they retool that, because it looks rough. Like, I'm pretty sure like every Eddie player or every Zato player is gonna play it and then be like, what? Why? What's the point of playing this character?
We'll
You know?
probably
Have
get a
fun.
better handle of it next week about this time. Or a
Yeah,
little
like
over a week, I should say.
Yeah, you're just seeing people jab and jump. Oh, and drill is a mid. You know, Eddie has the drill that comes out of the floor. That's always been a low. Now it's a mid. So
That's kind of weird.
you know, who
Maybe it has
cares,
different
right?
levels?
Wait. Like, is it a mid if it hits late, or is it just a mid?
It's a mid.
Yeah, see, that's weird.
Yeah,
That
he
is
puts it.
actually
He
weird.
puts it out, and then it comes up, and you can block it standing. It's bad. It's bad. It's rough. Eddie's having a rough go at Strive over here. It's bad. It's rough. Granted, as soon as I started thinking this, I saw the most like messed up RC mix up where it was like he sent out Eddie was doing like this dive bomb thing, and then he hit hello. And if the dive bomb thing is a high, then you know maybe we just gotta retooled Eddie mix-ups. But at the same time, it also costs a bar to do that. So I don't know if I'm too happy about that.
So I think the first day of the beta, you're going to see a lot of people trying what the characters, what these characters used to do, or what you expected them to do based on how they played in Xrd. It's going to take a little bit before people figure out how to play Strive with these characters.
Blue says it's a mid too. What the hell? Sorry. I'm sad. I don't even play Zato. I hate him, but I'm sad. And now I don't care. It's a new game, retooled, whatever. I don't care. It's sad.
So, but you're not going to be able to play some of these characters the exact same way you played in Strive. It's the same thing we see every time a new sequel comes out. People will expect what worked before to work now, and when it doesn't, screw it, this game's terrible.
Yep.
So it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a little bit. Not to say it won't be rough I'm not saying it's not going to be hard times for Eddie and Zato, but it's possible that I can get back in focus, and it's possible that they can find some success just a different way.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's the other thing I wanted to say too is I don't remember if we saw this before, but air dashers look a little faster, so that's cool. But yeah, I think my overall thought is that it looks like, to the eye, it looks like it's a neutered version of what Xrd was, and that's going to piss off a bunch of people. That's going to make a couple people happy, right? So to the eye, it looks slower, but it's I equated it to Street Fighter V, and I don't know if it's necessarily a fair comparison. However, when like the reaction from people going to Street Fighter V from Street Fighter 4 feels like it's the same reaction that people are having going from Xrd to Strive. So, and it's one of those things where to the eye the game looks a little bit slower, right? With Street Fighter V, we can see things a little bit more clearly than we could see in Street Fighter 4. I feel like Xrd might be the same thing, but when you're in the thick of it, it still feels very fast because you're making a ton of decisions at the same time, or in very close succession. So, I don't know. It just feels like it's more of the same of what we've seen from fighting games these past couple years, which I don't think is necessarily a good thing from a personal standpoint. However, it may not be a bad thing. So,
Yeah. It's going to be most people who have an opinion on it have not had a chance to really get their hands on at least anywhere close to as complete as it is now.
mm-hmm.
So next week, excuse me, is going to be very telling, I feel.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think a lot of the, I've gone to death with Street Fighter V. I think that how it has to come out as a good video game as well as being a good fighting game. Whatever your thoughts on Street Fighter V, the fighting game were,
Mm-hmm.
the first couple years of Street Fighter V, the video game,
Rough.
were rough. And that has colored a lot of the perception of the game, even now. So it has to do it has to get the single player experience. It has to get the experience for players outside of the FGC bubble. It has to nail that first and foremost.
And it
The
sounds
other
like
stuff people will wait around to get fixed. If everything's good except the game balance doesn't feel right, I think people will be willing to say, let's let them rebalance. Let's give it a patch or two. But if they don't nail that other stuff, it's going to be tough to get that audience back.
And it sounds like they do, because they had a whole trailer about all the game modes you can play.
Yeah.
So, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Although Finitude said first impressions matter. Yeah, no, I agree. All right, do we have anything else to say on Guilty Gear Strive and the upcoming beta test / whatever else is happening?
I'll have a schedule for it next week.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, and they also had a bunch of matches that we didn't show here that they released today, including one of Giovanna, which was super cool. I finally got to see that character. She looks fun. She's got like a lot of...
She does actually look really fun. I do want to say that. I watched the same video. She looks really, really good. I'm really excited for her.
Yeah. Though, again, the other thing I was a little bit worried about is she was getting jabbed out of a lot of her... of things that look like mix-ups. So, I don't know. And Blue is asking if we saw the Japanese content creator thing. It looks like in Japan, content creators are getting the game a couple days early. Or are getting the beta a couple days early. Do we have any thoughts on that?
I mean, that tracks. It's a Japanese company.
And it also
It
makes
makes
sense, right?
sense.
Because it's like, content creators are, they make people buy the game they play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it's different when you're talking about something like a beta, something like this, versus when we found out about Marvel Infinite and people getting their hands on that early.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about letting people get their hands on the full game, and then also that same company creating tournaments very early in the game life cycle, to figure that puts a different taste in my mouth versus, hey, here's this beta, show it off to your audience a few days early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Anything else on Guilty Gear? 1, 2, 3, gone. Let's go back. 1, please. More Tekken. You like Tekken? We got more
Y'all
Tekken.
like Tekken, right? We got more Tekken. Woo, Tekken.
We got more Tekken. So, if you'll remember, a few weeks back, Bandai Namco announced a partnership with several community content creators for what they're calling a community King of the Hill, where a bunch of tournaments will be sort of King of the Hill style. And they're partnering up with Astro Gaming to give little prize packs for, I believe, top 3, they said. And we saw the first few weeks of events announced. This past week, they announced a second wave of events for North America. If we can pull that up, it starts on next Tuesday, actually. I believe that is. It might actually be Wednesday. I'll have to double check the date. But NLBC All In on the 16th on Team Spooky's channel. You've got Kazuya Chaos on Thea Trinidad's channel, which is the former WWE performer. We talked about her a while ago, where she got a whole bunch of subs in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, she's great.
She's pretty cool. I'm sad she's not in WWE anymore, but if she's happy, I'm happy for her. Cuddle Core has the Cuddle Circuit on the 27th. Lil Majin is hosting the Lil Majin Open on March 6th, and then Combat
Best name.
on March 13th on Arturo's channel. So
Combat
that's what's
Combat.
going on.
Best name.
That's what's going on in North America. They also announced that they're rolling out this initiative to Latin America.
Whoa.
So-
More Tekken?
More Tekken in more places. So this past weekend, Break the Netcode took place. This coming weekend, as you saw on the What to Watch feature, Rage Heart Clutch, hosted by First Attack. And then Collision is hosting a few different events. An all-pick random tournament on the 28th. They've got a Colombia Fight for the Crown on March 7th, and then Brazilian Fight for the Crown on March 14th. So, opportunities for players to earn some spotlight that don't necessarily get that spotlight on them. Getting some love from the official Tekken account will give these players more of a chance to show off what they can do. And we've seen it, Peru. We've seen, we've seen areas in Tekken, in Street Fighter, coming out of everywhere, every corner, and finding out, hey, these guys aren't just good for their region, they're really, really good players, and they deserve that chance to show what they can do. So I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, and I think it's very funny. We were just mentioning about the snafu with Bandai Namco Europe releasing Tekken early to a couple people, and how and also how content creators were getting like the crap end of the stick with the pandemic, because they couldn't go to tournaments, like specifically commentators and certain players and all this stuff. So it's interesting to see Tekken trying to rectify that. I don't know if they're necessarily meaning to rectify it with this, but this seems like a big old effort to boost the community content creation, the community's content creators, commentators, players, et cetera, to make everybody more well known and rally around each other. I think this is a really cool thing they're doing.
And the big problem with what they did before, if you don't remember, Bandai Namco Europe gave several content creators outside the FGC early access to the Tekken 7 patch. They did not give creators inside the FGC they did not give any of those creators early access. So it's not a bad idea to get the game in the hands of players who are outside the bubble of the FGC, because there is a lot of value in that. There's a lot of value in getting new eyeballs on your game, getting new eyeballs that wouldn't necessarily cross paths with a show like Best of Five or cross paths with Lil Majin stream. But there's also, if you're doing things for them, there's also an expectation that you do things for the community, because they're the ones that are going to be your biggest evangelists. They're going to be the ones that are singing your game's praises to anyone who will listen if you do well by them. And the fact that they abandon, that's a strong word, but they weren't taking care of the people who were close to their scene, but then giving some goodies to people outside who don't necessarily have that connection. That was a really big misstep. So I'm glad to see them taking steps like this to sort of rewrite the ship.
And here's the other thing too. If we recall, after this happened, we heard from Harada where this was a Bandai Namco Europe thing, where they made that call, didn't consult anybody from the Tekken team or the FGC or anything, right? So we do have to think about that too. They just saw it as, hey, let's give this out to content creators. And it sounded like it was people who weren't very knowledgeable about the scene and everything else. So is ignorance an excuse for what happened? No. But we can't just go blaming it on Harada and the Tekken team when it was in fact not of their doing.
And I don't think it's necessarily the biggest misstep. It's just one that hits in a certain way.
Yep.
So
I agree. Anything else we want to talk about as far as Tekken goes?
No, I want to talk about.
But before you get into, I just remembered. I saw a tweet from Michael Murray. He goes, "Hey, I know we've been quiet, but we got some stuff coming." That's about it. So, thanks, Michael Murray. All right, shall we move on to the last piece of news, or what do you got, Steve?
This is the one. This is the piece of news that we've been waiting for months, years. It feels like. You know, are we going to see more characters in Fight of Animals? Is that a dead game? Are we done? There's Fight of Animals Arena. Are all of the resources on that? Or is there still love for Fight of Animals? We found out that there is still love for Fight of Animals. Play the clip.
What does that say?
So these are characters, Kung Fu Dachshund and Fluffy Sheep.
Dachshund?
They were...
Oh, wait, that's it?
That's it. That's it.
All right. Kung Fu Dachshund and Fluffy Sheep, huh? They'll be back? They were there in the first place?
They were in Fight of Animals Arena.
Oh.
But now they are coming to the main game. Or to the original game. Because they're separate experiences now. But we can all sleep easier at night. I feel like, I had a little thing gnawing at me every time I went to sleep. I'd wake up every 2 hours, just like Fluffy Sheep. When's Fluffy Sheep? When's Fluffy Sheep? We now know when Fluffy Sheep is. Actually, we don't know because they're coming soon.
And we know we know they're coming, but not when.
So I may still be haunted by dreams of when's Fluffy Sheep.
I'm sorry you have to deal with that, Steve. That sounds awful.
Hard life, Steve.
It is. It's a very hard life. But speaking of hard
knock life, so I would say, oh.
I almost had the perfect segue.
Okay.
Or
what is
the perfect
segue?
Perfect segue is, you know what? Speaking of hard lives, hard knocks, there's someone on this show that recently shared some of their hard knocks. with a documentary crew of some sort. Would you be able to clarify that for us, Sharpie?
God damn it. What a good segue. That was so good.
Thank you.
So mad.
Thank you.
That was really, really good. I cussed because I was so blown away by the quality of that segue. Yes, everyone, it is true. I was actually interviewed by Vice TV, otherwise formerly known as Viceland, and I was featured inside of Reset, an unauthorized guide to video games, speaking regarding the FGC, our future, inclusivity, and a plethora of other things, specifically combo queens inside of the documentary. There are quite a few other people inside of the fighting game community in there. Two notable people are, of course, Alex Valle as well as Cuddlecore. I was really honored because they actually filmed it way back, oh my god, shortly prior to EVO being canceled. It was announced, and that's when they decided to film. And then, you know, everything happened in June and July. That was kind of weird. But it was really nice seeing it because, one, that was eons ago. It feels like so long ago now. It feels like it's been half a year, and I'm just looking at myself then, and I'm like, man, I look like so excited for the future. Look at me, little Sharpie, you know. But it was really nice to see how everything that I talked about came together in a really cohesive way. I still feel like everyone should watch the documentary. It is really, really good. It does cover a lot about where the fighting game community came from, a lot about where we are now, and a lot about where we still have to go. I was very, very happy to see the way that the story came together, and I feel like it's very, very true to who we are as the community. There are a couple of inconsistencies, just like one or two, but they're very negligible. It's a great story. Definitely check it out. I believe it's on Vice TV's YouTube channel. And if you have the Vice channel on your cable network, you can actually watch it on there as well. So, yay, I'm famous now. Yay, play them fighting herds.
You did it.
I did put the link in chat for those of you listening or watching on other platforms. You can find it at youtube.com/Vice. It is called the... sorry, I had the exact name up. Inside the World of Fighting Games. So definitely check that out. It was something that came out before last week's episode, but we wanted to make sure that Miss Sharpie was here when we talked about it because we're claiming her as ours. You know.
Yeah, and everybody with the podcast, I just want to be very, very clear right now. I know I haven't, unfortunately, been on the podcast the last 3 weeks, and I know I'm probably really low energy right now. There are a lot of projects I'm working on, and I'm just really thankful to still be able to have a hosting spot on this show, because it is really important to me. It's a show that I've watched for a very long time, and it's a show that I'm genuinely honored to be a part of. I'm still trying to make time, obviously, in my schedule to be here every single week, and it's just nice to know that, like, there's a great place that I can still engage with the fighting game community while we're not having events. Really nice.
Yeah, because we're so strict about whether people are here or not.
They are. They were like, Sharpie, if you're not here this week, we're going to evict you from the show.
Hey, don't say that.
And tell everybody it's because you played grapplers. So, you know.
Now that's true.
Do we still have a 4-shot set up?
Yeah, right here. Whoops.
See? Look at this. They're ready to replace me whenever. See?
What? Your name is on the right. I just have yours
long?
and Mike's thing.
For how
switched.
long, Elon?
However long we want, including you. Donko. I should probably reach out to Donko and see what's going on with him. Anywho.
Actually, no. Let's go way back. Let's go way, way back. Let's get Ray Chun back here.
Ooh. That was a moment.
Shout outs to the exactly 2 people in chat who get that reference.
I do.
Well, you're not in chat.
I mean, I am.
God.
Why
There
are
we
you
go.
in chat? You're in charge of the podcast. You shouldn't be in chat.
Hey, I'm also moderating the chat while running the stream and running the boards and hosting. You know, that's what I do. Speaking of all of this, we have reached the time. The time where we must say goodbye to this week's show. And first of all, I just want to say thank you all for being here. This has been great. This has been a fun show. Can't wait to try the Guilty Gear beta that I thought was this weekend, next weekend. I'm kind of sad about it. I'm not going to lie. But, you know, we've gone through the highs and lows of speculating on Street Fighter V to learning about more Tekken to learning about Fight of Animals. And, you know, after learning about Fight of Animals, it just can't go any higher from here. I think we've peaked out. We've peaked. This has been the peak. So, I myself have been Elon. There's my social media information. Over here is the main squeeze, the Ace King Officer Jurek.
Yeah.
And, of course, joining us once again, the Lord, the Purple Sharpie.
Hold on.
Or
Just
whatever. I don't know.
Sick.
don't be married to the idea. That's all I'm saying. I know you want some strawberries. Just don't be married to the idea.
I'm going to hit the go button. Say your lines.
Good night, Canada.
Play them fighting herds and please buff Velvet.